What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another early, for me, hip-hop tune. Now, 94 was certainly not early in the larger sense of the history of hip-hop and rap music, but I was 13/14. I was born in 1980. If you are new here, hello. I do reactions of all different kinds of music, including hip-hop. It's not like one of the main categories on my channel, but I do have a long history of listening to hip-hop, and especially like 90s hip-hop, like early 90s, and then I got into Wu-Tang, and then by the end of the 90s I was getting into some independent hip-hop groups like Visionaries and the Hieroglyphics up in the Bay Area, and so on. In any case, the point is, 94, like 36 Chambers by Wu-Tang was already out, but I didn't get introduced to them until like late 94, early 95, so I'm pretty sure I heard this album by Warren G, who I believe is like a cousin of Dr. Dre, in the same way that Dale the Funky Homo Sapien is a cousin of Ice Cube. Yeah, I think he's like a cousin of Dre. In any case, the point is, he put out this album, and it eventually became really big. I think the song, what is it, This DJ, I think that one won like a Grammy, or at the very least it was like nominated for a Grammy. So this was kind of his notable breakthrough debut album. I don't think he ever achieved like the same level of success with later albums that this one had, but this tune, the title track if you will, meaning the album's called Regulate G-Funk Era with an ellipse or ... in between. But yeah, this one is more or less the title track, and I think the one that got the biggest airplay. This DJ was also on the radio a lot, I certainly remember, but this one I heard first, and I heard more extensively. And for me, the part of it that really makes it work is Nate Dogg's sung vocals. He was kind of like Warren G's secret weapon, meaning Warren G's, you know, his flows, his rhymes were good. You know, the storytelling here is another song about like life on the streets, going around with your boys and getting involved with some people, maybe some fights here and there, looking for some ladies and some other situations. So yeah, it's a song about living kind of that lifestyle, although it's not like full-blown gangster rap. It's, you know, it's somewhere on the border of it, but I don't know, it's not gangster rap like compared to something like NWA or to like Dre and Snoop Dogg's early albums. It's on the edges of that. At least that's the way my brain takes it. But it's got good production. It's got kind of this whistle synth that gives it a real atmosphere, and then Nate Dogg's sung vocals. And you know, like, I don't know too much about Warren G. I think he did live in Coto de Caza, which I grew up in Orange County, California, and I still live there, and Coto de Caza is like a really affluent, like gated community, and I think once he made it big, he kind of, you know, moved into the suburbs, if you will. Nate Dogg, I think, he's passed away, and you know, he was one of like a passing in the hip-hop world that was like, oh, you know, it's a real loss, because he's called like the hook master. His ability to sing these choruses and to give a track a really compelling hook was one of his, like, you know, most known abilities. But yeah, I understand he did have some legal troubles, and I don't know too much about it, but it sounds like he was one of those guys who was always kind of like trying to balance like a music career with like a genuine kind of like, you know, life out on the streets. And, you know, sometimes, indeed, I think, like, you know, a couple of the charges were, like, more serious, and he, you know, either had probation or I think he spent some time in jail. So, yeah, he had a complicated life, but hey, you could say that about a lot of musicians. So, and ultimately my purpose here is to listen to and talk about music and not so much the artist behind it. But when you do bring up artists for the first time on your channel, you inevitably do have to at least mention what you know. So, there you go. In any case, this is a tune from 1994. It was a big hit. It's called Regulate, and it's from the album Regulators. Is it Regulators or just Regulate? I think it might just be Regulate. Yeah, it's Regulate G-Funk Era from 1994, and it features Nate Dogg.
Regulators. We regulate any stealing of his property. We're damn good, too. But you can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Regulators! Mount up! It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets, trying to consume some skirts for the eve, so I could get some phones, rolling in my ride, chilling all alone.
Just hit the east side of the LBC, on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. Seen a car full of girls, ain't no need to tweak. All of you search know what's up with 213.
So I hooked some left on 21 and Lewis, some brothers shooting dice, so I said, let's do this. I jumped out the rock and said, what's up? Some brothers pull some gas, so I said I'm
Since
stuck.
these girls peeping me, I'm gonna glide and swerve. These hookers looking so hard, they straight hit the curve. Want to bigger, better things than some horny tricks. I see my homie and some suckers all in his mix.
I'm getting jacked, I'm breaking myself. I can't believe they taking Warren's wealth. They took my rings, they took my Rolex. I looked at the brother, said, damn, what's next?
They got my homie hemmed up and they all around. Can't none of them see him if they going straight pound for pound. They wanna come up real quick before they start to clown. I best pull out my strap and lay them busters down.
They got guns to my head, I think I'm going down. I can't believe it's happening in my own town. If I had wings, I would fly, let me contemplate. I glance in the cut and I see my homie Nate.
16 in the clip and 1 in the hole. Nate Dogg is about to make some bodies turn cold. Now they dropping and yelling, it's a tad bit late. Nate Dogg and Warren G had to regulate. I laid all them busters down, I let my gat explode. Now I'm switching my mind back into freak mode. If you won't skirt, sit back and observe. I just left a gang of those over there on the curb.
Now they got the freaks and that's a known fact. Before I got jacked, I was on the same track. Back up, cause it's on N-A-T-E-N-E, the Warren to the G.
Just like I thought, they were in the same spot, in need of some desperate help. The Nate Dogg and the G-Child were in need of something else. One of them names was sexy as hell. I said, ooh, I like your size. She said my chords broke down and just seemed real nice. Would you let me ride? I got a car full of girls and it's going real swell. The next stop is the East Side Motel.
I'm tweaking into a whole new era. G-Funk, step to this, I dare ya. Funk on a whole new level.
The rhythm is the bass and the bass is the treble.
Chords, strings, we brings melody. G-Funk, where rhythm is life and life is rhythm.
If you know like I know, you don't wanna step to this. It's the G-Funk era, funked out with a gangster twist. If you smoke like I smoke, then you're high like every day. And if your ass is a buster, 213 will regulate.
That section right before Nate Dogg's last melodic bit, I love the flow. It's like, it's almost like spoken word poetry, like chords, strings, we brings, rhythm is life, and you know the bass is the treble, or the, I forget the exact phrasing, but like it's a very different style even than the rest of the track. And again, like the G-Funk style, it's got like a bit more funk to it, it's got a bit more melody than like, you know, kind of hardcore gangster rap, which I suppose is the way, or the reason my brain puts this in a slightly different category. It's more the sonics, because like lyrically, I mean, we're talking about, you know, having to shoot people and people getting robbed, and you know, then hooking up with some girls, going to a hotel, and then, you know, back on the prowl, driving around their hood, going, you know, this way and that, and just trying to like, you know, regulate on the streets. So like lyrically, it is in the gangster rap genre, but like stylistically and in terms of the atmosphere, it's a lot different than like the NWA tunes, or you know, again, tunes like from, you know, the Chronic from Dre and so on. It really has a different feel. So yeah, I suppose that's why when I was, you know, before I discovered Wu-Tang, like stuff like this was among my favorite when it comes to like hip hop. And admittedly, like, you know, I heard some other tunes from the early 90s that stuck out to me. I always think of Paperboy, Diddy, and what's the God, he's a guy from Northern California. I can't believe I'm blanking on the track. I'll try to remember the tune that is like a perfect example of the kind of tune that like had my attention before I discovered Wu-Tang, and I was like, oh, this kind of like East Coast like independent hip hop with like, you know, kung fu movie samples and whatever, because that did really get my attention. But yes, Rappin' Forte, Players Club. That's the tune I was trying to think of. So yeah, again, a lot of these early '90s tracks make me think of listening to the radio and kind of like, oh, you know, like I don't know a whole lot about hip hop, but I like this tune and I like that tune. So it is nostalgic to me, even if again it's not a lifestyle that I ever lived. So yeah, let me know what you think of the tune, and I do have the album, so this DJ I'll definitely go through. Some of the others I don't remember all that well, but yeah, those two in particular, this one and this DJ, are tracks that I listen to a lot, so we'll go through that one at some point. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. Peace.